I'd like to focus on a couple questions that you mentioned: implementation of the Mission Act, making sure that it goes smoothly, and then also making sure that the women, our women veterans, are getting the care and the resources that they need. You talked about community care. The ultimate judge is going to be the fact as to whether or not it meets the needs of the veterans, and certainly that's common sense. You encouraged the VA to get out and talk with veterans, do outreach programs, things like that. I think Secretary Wilkie's done a good job when you compare to others, that his listening sessions have been good. Can you talk a little bit about the collaboration so far? Have you all been pleased with it? Do we need to push them to do additional things as we go forward?
Thank you, sir. That is an excellent question, and I'd like for Director Reese to address that issue.
Thank you, Mr. Boozman, for that question. To draw a contrast in regards to transparency in our collaborations with the Department of Veterans Affairs, I would first say that the model of collaboration would be the appeals modernization process. In that process, VSOs, Congress, VBA, the Board of Veterans Appeals, all went together, worked out our differences, had a good consensus document to actually create good law. That's what we like to see, and that's how we had an expectation to be in this process. Early in the Mission Act process, as you know, DAV, along with other stakeholders, played a vital role, along with members of Congress and the VA, to shape what was actually delivered as the Mission Act. Unfortunately, since that time, there has been an absolute blockout in regards to our ability to have deliberate collaborations and have substantive and meaningful feedback to the VA. While we've been briefed by the VA, while they've certainly kept us as far in the weeds as they want us to be, we've not been able to get engaged in the actual process and the policy making and the rollout. And an example of that, if I may, is the access standards. We played no collaborative role in regards to the creation of those access standards. Veterans of this nation played no role in the creation of those access standards. So right now, the access standards were created behind closed doors, and so far, there's been no transparency as to why they were created the way that they were, other than the law of average. That's unacceptable from DAV's perspective.
Very good, and that's certainly very helpful as far as the input. Very quickly, because I've just got just a second. In fact, I'll go ahead in the interest of time. There's so many people up here that want to have comments and questions, but we'll be submitting a question that basically asks, in regard to the women's issues that we have. You know, myself and Senator Tester introduced the Deborah Sampson Act. We appreciate your support. We're going to be working very hard on that. And again, appreciate you all. The question that I'll be asking is where you see the greatest need as we go forward. And then what's the low-hanging fruit? You know, what are some of the things that are relatively easy to get done as we look to try and solve some of those problems? So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate